Fear is is energy. Energy is a commodity. If someone is directing you to be in fear, then they can direct that fear into something else. And that's what's being done. And that's what has always been done. Yeah. This is an old dynamic that we need to let go of. We need to release. What do we gain by being afraid? We lose nothing by being calm. In fact, when you're afraid, you don't think very well.
No, fear makes you stupid. Somebody wise told me that once. And it's real. It's real.
On April 8th, more than 32 million people across Mexico, the United States, and Canada could see the sun completely darkened by the moon's shadow, and that moment of total darkness could last more than 4 minutes in some places. It's also going to be the last one for quite some time. A total solar eclipse won't happen again in the United States for about another 20 years.
If you've not been able to hear about this yet, you absolutely need to, because CERN is about to fire up this machine during the solar eclipse to look for invisible matter. So CERN is about to officially test the world's most powerful particle accelerator during the April solar eclipse to search for invisible matter that secretly powers our universe. Hello everyone at CERN, let's not do this.
This is getting wild. The National Guard is going to be here now for the solar eclipse. This article today was released in an Oklahoma newspaper saying that they will have guardsmen present in McCurtain County for the solar eclipse. They're also urging residents to stock up with 1 to 2 weeks of food in advance of the event and to have full fuel tanks. They're also saying that it's likely that communication facilities could be overloaded, possibly making it difficult to make cell phone calls. Similar warnings are going out in different states, including Noblesville Fire Department in Texas. And apparently schools are canceled this day, and people are going on Twitter writing statements like this: something strange is definitely happening. My kids in 3 different schools all got notices that school will be closed that day.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun. And today we're going to be talking about the eclipse, the event, this galactic event that's happening, that is one of the most unusual events that will ever happen in our lifetime. But before we begin, we'd like for Tarvars to call for the truth. Will you begin the call for the truth?
Yes, and for those who are joining us, we encourage you to join in on this call for the truth. Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Should we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Should we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth in all things? And so we are here, again, Call for the Truth, and we're talking about the eclipse.
Yes.
And so we have a video that will be released regarding the timeline shift and speaking a bit more about, well, timeline shift is already released, so check that out if you haven't, but something on the actual eclipse, and this is more of a follow-up and in terms of the details. So we know that some of the general ideas regarding the eclipse is this idea of release, this idea of changing, moving into a new space. And the eclipse is ushering that in, but let's go a little deeper on that. And what are some things that people should understand about this? Primarily because one is that anti-life forces on the planet and the agents of anti-life, anytime they're trying to make us afraid of something, we need to do the opposite. I think anytime they do something, run in the opposite direction in general. But they want us to be in fear. There's a lot of fear mongering regarding this, and we all here out of the Sun, we share a very different perspective that there's benefit, there's something to be gained from this eclipse.
Absolutely.
And the solar energies, not something to run away from or be in fear of. So what do you have on this?
So we are between 2 eclipses. One has already taken place. The next one will take place April 8th, 2024. We are also already in the quickening. This event is a galactic event, a universal event. This is not just happening between our moon and our sun from the earth plane perspective. This is part of the Kali Yuga. We are in the part of the 25,000 year cycle. these eclipses happen only once in a lifetime, or maybe once in many lifetimes for people. And there is great power to be released during this time. However, the anti-life or off-world interference with our planet has hijacked our understanding of this over many millennia. So, as you were saying, the anti-life hijacks every big event that's happening. There's going to be a blood moon, or there's going to be whatever the celestial events are, because we are conditioned to not pay attention or to believe that we're the only intelligent beings in the universe. And because we have been limited in our conditioning, those who know better take advantage of our ignorance, and they have hijacked all of the events. But in point of fact, it was an event of this nature, of this magnitude, of this potentially changing of the guard, so to say, that produced us as humans. Our progenitors, our ancient ancestors, used this energy form to help us come into being. So this is an opportunity for us to birth ourselves into another level of clarity. However, we have to be willing to let go of the conditioning. We have to be willing to release and step back from what has us that we think we have. We think we have real estate, but real estate has us. We think we have lovers, but lovers have us. We think we have money, but money has us. We have to be willing to release that so that we can move into this birthing process of birthing the new world, the new human. This is the beginning, even though many things have happened. So NASA is planning on shooting rockets into the shadow that is the eclipse. And the reason, that's funny in and of itself, the reason they're doing that is they're saying they're wanting to gather data. But of course, this is just another
lie
opportunity to hijack and bring fear by using rockets. So people are being whipped up into a frenzy to think something's going to happen, because it is the energy of the people whipped up into the frenzy who will make something happen.
Exactly. And that's always the case.
Yes.
You know, they will direct and focus our attention onto something like a worst case scenario and use ourselves against ourselves to make so whatever their plans are. So I'm saying, let's create the experience that we want to have.
Absolutely. When we look at the list of things, so not only are they planning on shooting rockets, an eclipse is a shadow, into the shadow, that they have named a demonic name, that NASA is using ancient magical names to ignite the thing from it. They need to use the name. At the same time, the Hadron Collider is being turned on that same day, and the movie Civil War is being released on the same day.
Oh, I didn't know about the Civil War.
And not only that, but the National Guard has been called out, and people are being encouraged to go into your stores and get all your food and water, because so many people will be coming to watch the eclipse that you will be left without any food. So all of this is stirring the pot for everyone to
Really,
be nervous.
for a 4-hour event?
Of the shadow of the moon moving in front of the sun.
So all the food's going to just be gone. I mean, it seems irrational. It doesn't make any sense. You know?
Well, of course, we can make it. We can manifest it.
We could.
You know, that all of these things are hint, you know, be scared. It reminds me of a scene in a movie. It was like, fear me, be afraid, be in fear, so that we can capture the fear and then direct it into something we want to manifest. Fear is is energy. Energy is a commodity. If someone is directing you to be in fear, then they can direct that fear into something else. And that's what's being done, and that's what has always been done. Yeah. This is an old dynamic that we need to let go of. We need to release. What do we gain by being afraid. We lose nothing by being calm. In fact, when you're afraid, you don't think very well.
No, fear makes you stupid. Somebody wise told me that once, and it's real. It's real. We were just hearing something from one of our contractors tell us about a family member who his fear is making him make stupid decisions. It doesn't make any sense. I won't go into the example, but I can definitely see your point. Would you speak a little bit more about this idea of the importance of releasing fear? Because again, there are many people who tune into this who still kind of keep their ear to mainstream news, and again, ain't nothing on the news but the blues. So, what are some things that they can take away in terms of?
I think
trying to find that balance.
One thing to remember by the orthodox or the news that is quote, traditional news, is any story being spoken and anyone speaking is approved by those who would like to stir the pot. So it might be better to look for alternative sources of your news, because if they're speaking, they're being allowed to speak, because how many people have been censored? They know how to censor. So if they didn't censor, why didn't they? If the story is over and over again with the same 3 characters, if politics is in every news story all day long, that's the distraction. What's happening to America is not about politics. What's happening to the rest of the world is not about American politics. So we're being, our faces are being pointed to. Look at individuals, look at personality cults, look at a person, expect something to come that's even the idea of the Jesus cult of, the Jesus is returning. That's still a personality cult. Who are the cult figures in the personality that we're being pointed to? Are we looking at Putin? Are we looking at Biden? Are we looking at Obama? Who are we looking at? Who are we constantly looking at that's being allowed to speak, that the news is taking our face? Like every day for the last 5 years, who has been in the news? And why is that? Why is that where we're being directed? So move yourself into maybe I should be looking at what's happening to my food. Maybe I should be looking at what's wrong with my produce. Maybe I should be looking at, I need to get some seeds. Call for sovereignty. Move yourself into the position where you release dependence on what they're saying on the news. Release dependence on which team you think is winning. If it's not your team, if you're not operating with them in a situation where they're bringing water and you're bringing food and together you all are helping your families live, they're not your team. Vibration. We are a universal remedy of support, an ally infused with positive frequencies and biophotonic light particles intended to return one to the greater whole of one's organic nature. Within our layered structure exists an opportunity for metamorphosis, prompting divine healing energies of light to awaken your original composition, that which has been irritated by inorganic substances through mental, emotional, and physical material. We are navigators, those who operate by way of your conscious thought and directive, exponentially moving to the physical areas of stuck emotion within the body that are in need of restoration. When engaged with us, we identify and mirror the called upon frequencies of lower vibratory notion for it to see itself in transmutation, while awakening that which is dormant to shift into the rectification of optimum balance and functionality. So That's what I have to
Yeah, I
say.
think that's a really good perspective,
Yeah.
something for people to reflect on. Did you have more on the eclipse that you wanted to share?
Yes, there are other ideas. The idea of when we say the focus of the eclipse, as you started out at the beginning, is to release. So if we see ourselves holding on to our laws, holding on to the police, holding on to Uncle Sam, holding on to education, we are holding on to the hospital will take care of me. I have to live near the hospital. I have to have insurance. These are all areas in which it would be important to relax your grip and release, because these areas may not be able to be supported. What do you have in place to help you in this situation? So we are encouraged to release whatever has you that you think you have. You know, you think you have a job, but does the job have you? And does the job have longevity? You're in situations where if everything you are, you have to go get from 5 other people, are you in sovereignty? Is having money enough if the banks close? What are your relationships producing? So the solution is assess your reality. See, where are you sovereign? Release more deeply into what you can do. You can grow sprouts. You can grow microgreens. You can make sure that you have some supplies as the many different events, galactic events that are coming. This is really the biggest and the first of many things that will come. It is not that we need to be afraid, it's that we should be running into our new life, running into the new world, running into the future that holds less suffering for us. The suffering that we go through as we stand in lines, as we sit in our cars on the highway, as we stand in lines in airports through TSA, as we watch parts of airplanes fall off of planes, you know, as we see all of these things happening, and we've normalized our suffering to the point where now we're all sick. And we didn't even notice. It's like, I'm sick and I didn't even know there was anything wrong, because it's so normalized within us. Release that. Release the illness. Release the suffering. And start imagining what a new world and a new life would look like. And how do you look in the new world? Are you the hero of that story? It's your story. It is our own will and determination that weaponizes us to be able to move into a new world, to have the power to move into a new world, to have more behind our thought than we've ever had before. We encourage you, move forward into the solution of knowing that you create the new world, the new life, the new experience that's on the other side of this eclipse. So we're glad that you joined us, and we're going to ask if, Tarvars, if you will pull the cards for today, the Call for Truth cards. And I'm going to give you the deck so you can shuffle. And Tarvars will also be thinking of a question concerning our discussion about the eclipse and releasing all that has imprisoned, all that has enslaved us, bringing us out of suffering into freedom, into a new world where we can imagine our new life, our new world, without the layers of conditioning and suffering that are a limitation. And, something trying to jump out of the deck.
Today's card pull is the theme suffering. To worry is to suffer twice. You suffer by worrying, and then you manifest what you worried about, causing you to suffer again. I mean, that speaks literally to what we were saying about the fear and taking back control.
And the universal principles are known by all. They're known by those who are not in accord with humanity's preservation. Anti-life knows that.
Yeah, they know how it goes.
Yes, and we now know how it goes too.
That's right. We don't have to play that game.
Oh, we don't.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We hope we'll see you soon. We greet you with In Lakesh and Veritas, with honor respect, and gratitude. Shall we bring this into the new world? Thank you.